Hello, it's Brande Davison here. I'm a design team member with Spiegelmom Scraps, and I'm here today with a really exciting collaboration we are doing with the Cardstock Warehouse using their Seasons collection Be My Valentine kit. This is as you can see there, 5 different tones from pink to red cardstock that is just fabulously flat and thick and just, oh, such great cardstock. So that's what I'm working on today. I'm going to use this Scattered Hearts cut file as the basis for my very lovey-dovey background here, or my layout here. And what I'm going to do right away on the too white of paper for me usually is go with a little bit of mixed media. I'm not really a mixed media gal. I do a little bit of smooshing in the background, which is sort of the extent of my talents, but it works for me, and you know what, be you. So here I am. I am using this very bright cotton candy color, sort of, which is almost identical to one of the pinks in this collection from the Cardstock Warehouse, and it is one of Lindy's Stamp Gang's The Magical Powder, Stamp Gang, The Magical Powder, and it's called Raspberry Lemonade, so a cool title as well. I'm just using that in the middle, and then I went in with some Razzle Dazzle Berry. This is one of the Vibes from Shimmer's Paints, and I wanted to kind of get closer to the red of the collection, but not too red. I find red mixed media sort of looks like blood on the page, and so I wanted to dabble into red but still stay in sort of that pink sphere, if you will, and I think the Razzle Dazzle Berry does that. It's pink with just that hint of red in there. And then for the third color that I'm using here, and I am just using 3 in this diagonal line, that is the Piggy Pink, and that is a Creamies from Shimmer's Paints as well, so a really nice, great pink. And I like that kind of 3-tone piece. I am just using this to add a little bit of, I don't know, something, a little bit of color behind my photos on the layout, so I'm not too worried that it's perfect. It looks quite messy right now, but it's going to work out okay. It's going to work out good. So I just go back in with that brighter color again. That's from Lindy's Stamp Gang, and that is the Raspberry Lemonade. And I'm just doing a little bit of splattering. And then I do go back in with the Razzle Dazzle Berry from Shimmers. One of the things I absolutely love about Shimmers is that they go on light. So it's kind of a no risk, play around. It's not going to be crazy dark. If you want them dark, you just need to keep layering. So you really get to control the color palette that you're using. Whereas with like the Lindy Stamp Gang, you can see that pink in there. That's one layer. Like you got to add a lot of water to really tone them down. So you get really bright, vibrant colors. So depending on the look you're going for, those are really great things, both of them. It's just sort of up to you. And I really like the contrast of using both of these products together for, something a little bit lighter and then something a little bit brighter. I just think it just adds a little something for the eye to look at on a layout. So I did go back in there and just add a little bit more Razzle Dazzle Berry to get that a bit brighter. I still wasn't finding it bright enough, and I really wanted the center of the layout to pop, so I did go back in with just a little bit more of the Raspberry Lemonade and just smoosh some more down. Not covering the Razzle Dazzle Berry, but just extending that pink a little bit to make the center of the layout a little bit brighter. And then, of course, after you do the smooshing technique, you definitely need to do a few splatters. So that's what I've done there. So now I'm going to go through and I'm going to use the lightest pink from the Cardstock Warehouse collection that we received to back this whole thing as like one big cut file. If, in the absence of a 12 by 12 sheet, these come in 8.5 by 11, 65-pound beautiful papers. I just went and pieced them together, as you can see there. So I used one big piece, and then the rest is just all my scraps from cutting. You will see that I cut a bunch of hearts out. So it's a really great way to use up your scraps as well. So I'm working with one 4x6 photo, that one there, which I am matting in you'll see me pull in the hot pink, my favorite paper of this collection from Cardstock Warehouse. And I'm going to mat it, and then I'm also going to put it on the red as well, my second favorite. Those 2 bright ones are just, they're such true colors. I absolutely love them. So here I'm double matted. This is just a picture of me and my nephew from 2014, so quite a few years ago. We just went and walked down and had an afternoon at the library when he was little, and ended up wanting to take a selfie when we were there, because that's what scrapbookers do. And it ended up in being like this little silly face montage, and him and I are just always silly stuff. And this was just really cool. I love these photos. I think they just really speak to the bond that myself and this little guy have. So, and I thought, you know what, he's little, he's got these little chubby cheeks. I can get away with like an ooshy-gooshy, hearty Valentine-like layout with him at this age. Not sure I could do it now. He's 12 and super cool, but, well, actually, you know what? I think he would let me. So anyway, so here you go. I do go back and forth. You're going to see this a lot, and I've purposely left it into the video of moving my photos around. This struggle is real, and I know we've We've all done it. Should they go here? Should they go there? And the hard part is, and if you do videos or if you've gone back and look at the photos you've taken kind of midstream of your layouts, they looked good in every spot. I feel like I could have left them in any place I had there. So we'll see what we think at the end about where they actually ended up. But I don't think I could have gone wrong. I mean, the photos are just fabulous. So who cares where they are? They're great. So now I've gone through and you can see all those hearts there are just ones I've cut the cut file again, and then that's just the negative, or is it the positive? Anyway, I just saved the hearts, if you will, from cutting the cut file again into the cardstock. And then I'm really focusing on bringing in the red in the hearts as well as the red on the sides there. So I do go in and, I don't know what you'd call it, kind of like messily cut the side there. You could rip it, but I find the scissors are a bit more control. And then just distressed it a little bit, put a little cut in the side there to make it look like I had ripped it. So kind of cheating on the cut thing, but it works a little bit better for me to add a little bit more of the red in there just to balance the hearts that are on the page, and then photo mat. And then of course, I'm not done. You saw me play with the photos again. I go back in and add a little bit more red on the side again. Yeah, really wanting, there's a lot going on. And so I thought if I kind of bordered the page in a little bit of red with that kind of ripping technique, it would bring the eye into the center. And well, any excuse to use more of this red was just fabulous because it is such a great color. So there you go. And I just go ahead and distress all the way around the outsides. I didn't really want a distressed look, but with the mixed media, I didn't want it to be like super clean edged. So I find just using the little distress tool, and mine is the one from Tim Holtz from years ago, just gives the edge a little bit of, I don't know, texture, if you will. So yes, I'm playing with the photos again. And I did debate even getting rid of one of the photos, but I'm sure I don't need 4 silly face photos, but in my mind, I actually do need 4 silly face photos. So I'm keeping them all. So I kept playing. So I felt like it needed something to maybe just what I was struggling with is I didn't have any embellishments that I was working with. And so I went into my stash and pulled out, these are the frames from the Everyday Musings collection of Pink Fresh Studio. And I just went through and pulled out all the ones that had sort of a pink, anywhere from like a pink to a purpley tint to them. So kind of stayed within that Valentine's Day, I don't know, that color scheme, if you will, and really focused on ones that felt like they were sort of the tone of this Cardstock Warehouse paper pack that we received. I didn't want to go away from that because I liked the color scheme too much. So what I'm ultimately going to do there is just like a little kind of jumble of Polaroids behind those little photos, as if they're, just kind of a jumble of Polaroids in total. So I think it's going to look really good. I did go through my stash and found just something with a little bit of texture for pattern paper. There was no pattern paper up to this point. Not so much to kind of take away from any of the cardstock or the mixed media, but just to bring in just a little bit of something. I think in the end it actually makes the heart stand out more. And the paper I'm using here, I have no idea where it's from. I'm so sorry. It's probably one that I stole from Cheryl, one of my scrapstorian besties that I have a blog and such with for scrapbooking at a crop retreat. When she's kind of done with a particular paper, she puts it on the giveaway table and I often snatch it up. And so Cheryl, if you're watching this, comment below if you remember who that's from. I'm going to back my photo with it, and then I'm also going to add it to the sides. I cut down the red there that I'd added to each side just a little bit, just for a little peekaboo of that pattern paper. So I'm on to my alphas, and apologies, I keep leaning forward there. And I'm just using these white, they're like, I think they're from the Jen Hadfield collection. I, of course, always get rid of the packaging on thickers because they're the best for doing that smooshing watermark technique. But anyway, they're like a white, they're white, but they have sort of a tinge of pink when I put them with the pinks. I don't know, it seemed to work, but not overly pink. But anyway, there they are. I'm going to go with Silly Stuff as my title. And of course, when, there's a Polaroid, I feel the need to make it a Polaroid shaker pocket, as you may be getting to know me about doing. So I do take a few of those little Polaroids that are behind the small photos and make them into shaker pockets. And my approach to this is the same as when it's with paper versus when it's with chipboard like these guys. I flip it upside down, I put sequin all the way around the edges, I take an old piece of packaging, I stick it down on the sequin, I put the sequin again around the packaging, I fill it with sequins, and I close it up. So again, you've got your chipboard or paper facing down, sequin, peel that off, plastic packaging, sequin, peel that off, fill it with sequins, and put another piece of plastic over, or in this case, because they're square, which is super handy, you can just fold it over. So you kind of get a reinforced pocket as well, which is really nice because those sequins tend to slip out of the tiniest little gap in plastic. So you can see there the one just poking out, and I went off camera, and sorry, I keep hitting the camera. I'm trying to film in my dining room right now. My scrap room's not available to me, but the camera is like right above my head. So apologies, thanks for your patience with that. And I filled up 3, a big one and then a medium and a little baby one. This is where I have to admit I have a gumdrop sequin mix addiction. This is either my 3rd or 4th pack of the gumdrop sequin mix. I promise I will move on. I love all the other sequin mixes, but there's just something about the name, and I don't know, I just love this mix. So this is gumdrops again, but it really had lots of great pinks in it, and then it also had these little tiny pieces of purple, which really helped me bring in some of the additional frames from the Everyday Musings collection from Pink Press, which had that touch of purple too. So I did discard the big green light leaves, or leave behind the big green leaves that are in the gumdrops. You can see them there still in the package on the left. And I have an idea for those. So future layout coming. So there I am, again, playing with the photos. Again, see, that looks cool right there, but I didn't want to give up too. Like, stop, that looks so good. I mean, I'm being a bit unmodest, but you know, like when it just looks fine, why don't you just leave things well enough alone? But anyway, I think scrapbookers are like somewhat by nature perfectionists. So here I am, still moving the photos. And I love the idea of the 2 or the 3 popping up the top, but I couldn't think of one to give up. We have a different face in each one. And I don't know, I just love them all. And if this is about, documenting that memory and that feeling, then I'm going to put all the photos in that I love, because that's what this all is all about, regardless if that has, potentially an impact on my style or aesthetic or layout or whatever it might be. This is all about telling the story with a bit of art. So here I go. So apologies, you may have noticed I've stood up. So different perspectives. Sometimes I do this, I'll take a photo. I'll walk away, take a photo of my page midstream, and then I'll look at the photo in about 10 minutes. Sometimes I stand up, sometimes I just walk around a bit. And in this case, I stood up and it was like, oh, the heavens opening up. I found my groove. So here I am, I've got the 3. I love them piled up there with just a little bit of the Polaroids. And then why didn't I do this at the beginning? I tucked my second favorite one just right in beside that guy. Like, it's going to be so good. And there was even one where his little face wasn't right at the edge, so I had a little room there to play with. And that's it. So I think I found the best spot for them, but of course I think that because I glued it down. So yeah, but did want to show you that a design team member doesn't mean we aren't sitting here for 2.5 hours trying to figure out where one little photo goes, or one little brad, or one little wood veneer. We all do it. So it's okay. It's part of the process. And frankly, as long as my fingers are dirty and I'm playing with paper, I don't care how long it takes to make a layout. So this is not about speed. This is not about catching up. This is about the creative process and memories. And so, that's what it is. Not to get all philosophical on you. But there I am. Now that I've decided where they go, and I don't want to subject you to moving them again, I'm literally leaving them in place while I glue down. Like, very little do I pick up. I think that might be the only thing I pick up is this frame I cut in half in order to pretend there was 2 of them and it was poking out in 2 places. Which is a trick, by the way. If you're hiding a big part of chipboard or like limited die cuts from a collection behind your photo, cut them in half and then use the other half somewhere else as well. It brings the same color across your page or into 2 spaces, and well, you get kind of double double for the layout there. Oh my, I just really hit that camera. I'm so sorry. You can tell, look at me, I'm just going. So sorry about that. I will try and figure out my filming here for the next couple of months while I'm sitting in my dining room doing this. So yeah, anyway, forgiveness, right? Here I go. So I'm just gluing them down. And I do just use Tombow liquid glue to stick down those chipboards. They don't have any sticky left on them. I peeled 1 layer of the stickiness off in order to be able to just play about with them as I want all over the page. I do that with stickers too. I either back them or I put, if you use a little static baggie you use for embossing behind your photos, it gives like a little powder. It takes the stickiness away as well, and then you can move them about wherever you want. So my title here is Silly Stuff, because that is who me and my nephew are. Oh, Kiki and I we're so silly, and we joke about being silly stuff. And so I thought that was a really good title. And I didn't want it to just be like we're doing silly stuff. We always say that we are silly stuff. So I wanted to add the we are there. And then in that same alpha, and then I just found 2 extra hearts that I had cut out and kind of put them there, kind of for him and I, a bigger one and a little one. And there's that same pattern paper that I cannot tell you who it is from. I feel like Studio Calico or something, but I might be wrong. And I'm just, again, you can see how little it's peeking out there, like just the tiniest margin, but it really does something to sort of bring the eye right into the middle. And so for my final touch, I go through my sequin sets here. I used every single last sequin of the gumdrop, so they are gone, but I need a few little pinks and maybe even a couple purples if I can find them to sort of scatter about to match what I used in my shaker pockets. And of course, Pink Passion provides. So there is that my Pink Passion? Pink Poison, I think it's called. I steal a couple from there, and then there's also even a couple of purples in there, which purple just makes pink pop, which I just love about it. And so I think I put like maybe 5 or 6. You can barely see them. You'll see them closer in the stills. They're mostly pink, which is a couple of random purples, which I think looks really great. Feel free to use a little bit of a different color to make all the rest pop. And that's where I'm at. That is me. That is my layout. Thanks for bearing with me as I move the photos around so much. We'll finish here with some stills. And don't forget to use Brande 15 when you visit the Spiegelmom Scrap website to save 15% off. Thanks so much for watching.